Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Appreciate you tuning in once again. So welcome to video number 5 on the Moebius 72 tow truck F350 dually. Yes. This one's a little tricky. This video is a little important. I think this is the highlight video, just because I'm doing the box of the back, or the tow box. You know, most of us has built Moebius trucks, so obviously the frame and that part of it's all the same. It's the box in the back that's different on this kit. And there's a few challenging spots on it, don't get me wrong. Other than that, if you take your time on it, you can go through it no problem. Probably made mine a little more difficult because I painted a lot of separate things versus just slapping it together and painting it all one color, which would have been easier. And in the video I showed you, I ran the rigging. They give you string in the kit, like cable. So I installed that. That made things a little more difficult. Easy to do, but it's just, I do a little more figuring, you know what I mean? So all in all, very worth it. If you guys are building these, highly recommend putting the strings on the back because it looks so cool. So it just sets it off. So we got a few more details we're going to do in the end of this. We got a lot to do in this video, so let's go to the bench and let's get started on this thing. All right, guys, we have an epic mess going on the table here. So we'll just sort through here quick. Pretty much everything is painted now at this point, so we should be good to go. So working on that bed assembly, or the tow assembly. Tower's all said and done. That's looking pretty good. We got this guy done. This looks pretty cool. So we brushed that by hand. Did the red hooks. I think that looks really sharp. Hindsight, probably should have did a little something with that, but you know, that's just how it goes. So when you guys are doing these, if you want to detail these out, you're going to have to paint those pulleys before I put it together, because it's going to be hard to get in there after the fact. So I did this here. So we got the top of it done. I did my hooks, my clevises in red. Painted a little silver on the end. So you can see inside there how that looks with the two pulleys together painted. So that looks really sharp. You wouldn't really, it'd be hard to get that effect if you did it individually, you know, if you try to paint it once this was glued. Doable, obviously, but I think it'd be tough. I think it'd be a challenge. So just to give that a heads up, you guys are building this and you want to detail a little bit, make sure you paint those pulleys before you put that together, because it'll be a little bit of a struggle for you. So I got that guy there, and I still got this one on here to do. Man, I got parts everywhere on this bench. So we got this guy here. So that's going to end up on this one. And from here we can start assembling the tower assembly itself. So in mine, I am going to I want to put the cable on it because I think it'll look cool. So I'm gonna have to, because I haven't been good at it so far. I have not been good so far at it. I'm gonna have to read the instructions and see what it says, because I know there's a few things it tells you do not cement if you're using the cables. But anyways, this guy sits here. This will set now on top, so you can see how these pulleys are once you put them together. That really makes them pretty cool looking, because it gives you that little double piece in there, little double action. So I did the winch part. I just did that in silver in the center. Like I say, we're gonna put that string in there, so I had to leave that apart temporary until I get this put together. So that looks super cool like that. So we got the cranky crank. I did all these in semi-gloss Tamiya. So unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to put this together quite yet until I get those sides clear coated. Had some dilemmas with the decals on it, because I went and decided to use some old decals and they just didn't turn out. I'll show you. So these are all cured out. I don't like it. I thought they'd look cool on there, but look how they wrinkled. Same here, and I thought, you know what, while they're still wet, I'm just going to peel them off, and long and behold, it peeled the paint. So not a big deal. So how we're going to fix these is we're just going to wet sand those off. I'm just going to wet sand these, wet sand that, and I got that little spot. I'm just going to do a little touch up with paint. And I got some other decals. I tried using old decals, and I kind of had my suspicions on it, and I thought, nah, it'll be okay. It'll be fine. Yeah, and that's what we got. So I'm going to take some 5000. I'm sorry, guys. I'm jumping all over the place because we'll just do a little sandy on these. Yeah, it's peeling that up there nice. So I need to soften that up a little bit right where that paint scraped a little bit. I probably could go a little more aggressive with this to probably remove them quicker, but I really don't want to take the paint down any further than I have to. Okay, now sand a little bit in the center there, kind of walk that down there. That looks a lot better. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna put another decal there, one of newer origin. So I'm probably gonna do the same thing here. This Decal one's being a little tough though. Oh, she's being a stinker. She's being a stinker. Right at the bottom. Oh, just had to get that right touch in there and off she goes. See, the nice thing about this, it didn't damage the paint, so it basically just pretty much just wet sanded. So I got something weird, and I have no idea where it come from. I got blue paint in my hand, and I have no idea where it come from. That is, I don't have any blue paint. I haven't painted nothing blue. No ink pens. Wow, that's pretty weird. I'm thinking, what is on my hand? But I'm kind of lost right now for that one. Okay, that was weird. So I'm going to do is just put a little black paint on there, touch that up, and then just throw another decal over top that. That microsol must have softened the paint up as well, and there we go. Just did a number on the whole thing. Lessons learned. Don't do that. Before I get too far, we're going to decal these quick. So we have a decal sheet. Let's do them both at the same time. Being these are new decals, they actually work really well. So set those there, let them set for a second. So these are your mud flaps. Pretty stout mud flap. They just have a piece like this. This goes on the bottom of the frame here. So they just got a real nice positive. Let me go this way here. They sit in there really nice. So you really can't mess those up. So some of these items you don't want to just peel them all off, like I mentioned before, because some of these are right and left. They all look the same, but they're different numbers. So these are 530, these two, and these are 531. So these are a right side and a left side for the back of the boom. So I know a lot of guys like just to peel off everything and just go to town, but some of these things you kind of got to pay attention. Being it's a wrecker box, I mean, I really don't know what all parts I really need, so I've just kind of been just going easy with it for a point. So obviously we could put some microset on there beforehand, but we're just gonna run with it and just throw these on. We get somewhat close. Make sure we get these pretty close. That's why I do these now versus putting them on the truck later, whatever you're gonna put on there, your chrome ladies or whatever you're gonna put on them. All right, we're gonna let them dry out. We'll carefully move them to the side so they don't move on me. So once I put microsol on this, let it set overnight. Now that it's dried, where it's hanging over, I just took my blade and just kind of went around the edge and just kind of shaved that out. Same as here. I just cut that out, open that up. So we're gonna put our taillight pieces in there, and I'm just gonna put just a drop of Mod Podge in there. So before I put these lights in here, I put a little bit of use my Moebius marker. Just give a little chrome hit. That way there it's got something to shine against, so it's just not right on the black, because you really won't see that lens at all if it's just on the black paint. I see it was nice they give you a few extra lenses, so I went ahead and did all my lenses up, just in case you get that one that goes flying. So there's little holes here, and you can see they're kind of ripped, but that's okay because you got the bottom of the boom, the lower arm, that bolts in there, and that's gonna basically cover those holes right up, and it's gonna make it look nice and pretty. So I'm trying to get the wheels done, and I tell you what, I don't know why, but that chrome is just half it come off like easy as can be. The one half did, but the other side, not liking it. Okay, looks pretty good. I'll put that offside. We're done with that for right now. Guess I could probably take this off there. I'm pretty much done with that. It's just nice hang on to it, I guess. Okay, so putting this together, the boom, or the sling and the winch, all that good stuff. So I'm going to do the rigging cable on here. So they give you an optional piece of string on here. You can see that. So you can spool it together. So I want to do that just because I think that'll look kind of cool. Before I put this together, there's a little notch in here. They need you to string that in here. So I'm just going to take a little bit of CA, go in the center. Let's do two things for me. It'll give me a little CA for the cable itself and for the end of the spool. like so. Put this guy on there. Like that. We'll give that a minute to cure, and then we can wrap that a little bit. So I put these two halves together. Like say, painting that separate, that's a must, I think, if you want it to look nice. You know, it'd be too hard to try to paint inside there. I threw that guy on. That's just you just open up a little bit and squeeze that in. So I had to open this up a little bit here because you got this top pulley that sits on here with this little piece here. This little tiny piece right here. So this is piece number 554, and it has to sit on top here. But the deal is they don't want you to glue the whole thing down. They want you to leave the pulley, the upper pulley, loose. So I opened that up to make sure it fit good. This has to fit inside here. So being I painted all this, that paint was kind of tight in there, so I went and shaved some of that out of there so it actually spins real easy. So when you put this in, you're basically just gluing these two tabs down. That's it. You're not gluing nothing else. You're not gluing the other side of it or anything. You're just doing those tabs. That's all they want you to glue. So you gotta be real careful, because this way here, this can move up and down once you have that position. Especially if you're gonna do the boom to where it's movable a little bit. You're gonna want this to move nice and free. So this piece here is the other side of that pulley. So we can put this on right now. So I'm just giving you a little touch of CA here in this corner. That's it. Kind of looked over these instructions a couple times on this boom, because there's a lot of different things you can go with. So we're gonna leave that like that. They show you putting the string in first, then snapping it together, but I did find you can slide that string in there no problem, so that's not a big issue. Okay, so these pieces here, these pieces are 548 and 549. So 548, which is this guy here, this goes on the top. And in the arms, they give you notches in here. So you have a notch up top, notch on the bottom. So this end here is the top side. So you can see, obviously, notch goes in the notch. Did it stay flipped, or did it flip back around when I was playing around with it? So you can see that sits pretty nice in there. Now this is going to sit sandwiched over top of this bar, and it is a tight fit. So it's not like something you can just sit and slide in and out of there. You might be able to if this wasn't, you know, if you didn't have a lot of paint in here. So I think I might take and open this up a little bit. Just to clean this out, because you're not going to see this inside here, because right now that won't slide up and down in there. So I don't want to walk it up there and scratch the paint off it, because it is just lacquer. So it's going to be, need to sand this anyways, because it's kind of a tight fit. So we'll see if this fits on here a little bit nice. Yeah, that's nice. They want you to put all this on first, and then they want you to put this in first, then put this on, but I'm almost thinking it'd be better to put this onto here and then put it together from that way, because this is going to be a lot of pieces to try to hold. This guy's got to fit in there, and that's got to fit inside here. This needs to go up inside this part here. So the other thing you want to do, this is part number 549, BR 549. This needs to go on the bottom of here. So if you have paint in there, you're going to need to open those up to make sure that those are going to fit in there properly. So I ended up opening mine up. What I did, instead of opening that side up, I did a little bit, but I basically shaved these down just a hair. That made it life a lot easier. Looking back, you guys building this, before you paint all this, you might want to take and put a little bit of putty in here to fill that seam. Maybe in different colors you wouldn't see it, but white, it definitely shows up. And I thought, that sticks out nice and sore like, but you know, it is what it is. I'm not going to go back and fix it now. So other than that, like say, the rest of this is ready to go. Just waiting to get this part finished up and kind of get it assembled. So like say, you got this guy here, this sits like this. They got this piece here, number 550, and they want you to slide this into here to fit that in there tight. So when you're putting that in, you got to pay attention that it's actually square. So if you're using like a CA or with an accelerator or something, you don't want to get it all kiddywomp because it's not a tough, snug fit. So you're going to want to make sure that's pretty straight on there before you get too far. So as this goes on here, this sandwiches around here. So I'm thinking about putting this on first into here and then adding these on second. Because they're having you put 550 into that piece first according to the instructions and then move on to the side. So we're going to go ahead and put this on here. So like I say, we'll just make sure it's nice and straight before we get too far. See my good old lacquer paint's chipping already. So I have to do some touch up. So we're going to let that set for a second. Yeah, like I say, we're going to do is put this piece on too, but remember, it can't be glued down, so that's going to be a little bit finicky to put on there. I'm sure if you glue it, it's not going to be the end of the world, but now if I would have did my black interior like I should have instead of the red, I could have painted the backside blue, and I could have did all these hooks in orange, you know, it was Union 76, but man, I screwed that up. I could almost go back and just open up another kit. I do have another one here. You know, but I'm not going to go through all the hassle, so, because the next one's going to be a junkyard version. So it looks like per instructions, they want you to glue these together and then slide that through. So that's what we're going to do. But before I do, I'm going to make sure that this does slide okay. So before I glue that, just to make sure it slips through easy, which it does not. So I check this first. So what I did on this, guys, is I just kind of mock this in here a little bit. So it looks like you're about halfway down from that second hole. You should just be half covering it, and then this will fit in here. So I just kept moving it until it just fit in there just snug. So I'm bottom out against the back, so that should be about right. At this point, I'm gonna just glue the bottom on, so I can put a little bit of CA on there already. We're just gonna get this guy glued in place, like so. And now we can take and move this into position here. So you want to make sure that top and bottom goes in nice. She's a tight fit. She's a little finicky. Yeah, she's really tight with the paint on her. It'd almost be something you'd almost want to paint later on. Okay, so I got that in there. So now we're just going to put a little bit of CA in the corner here. Just a little bit in here. This piece goes up. So all goes well. We should fit in there nice there. And slide in there. Beautiful. I'll get that other side put on quick. And then we'll let this sit and cure up for a little bit here. So a little CA squeezing out of there, so we'll wipe that off quick. It says I'm going to make sure they come together tight at the top here, which we got going on, so I think we're pretty good there. All right, we're going to let that set for a minute. So it wasn't too bad. You'd think they would have had that lined up with one of the holes, because I would assume that's how you'd move that. But so before I put this on, I think I'm going to feed that the string through there, and I'll get that going. Like I said, we'll let this set for just a few more minutes, make sure it's good and cured. So that pulley's going to sit on there. Man, I hope I can get that put on there without gluing it. That's going to be tight. That's going to actually be tough. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to get that like I'd like to see it, but hopefully we can get it. So I figure we can do is wrap this up a little bit. So they show you in the instructions which way it kind of would spin, or how you should wrap it anyways. And it looks like it's going to wrap like this. I just figured I'd make a couple rounds on it to make it look like it's spooled up. So this is, they call the pink line. So if you plan to rig your wrecker, say that fast, 29, if you plan to rig your wrecker with cable like the real vehicle, attach a 16-inch length of thread provided in the kit by tying a knot into one end and inserting it into the cable drum, which we have here. Glue the drum place glue it together. Place thread through existing notch in 539, and then, which is this piece here, and then basically put it together, and then leave the drum a minimum of 10 inches free to pass over the pulley at the other end of the boom. So from wherever you leave this here, They're saying leave yourself about 10 inches to go up and down to the other pulley. So they give you a lot of string, so I'll probably go more than that just to be on the safe side. So apparently when I glued this, I must have either got it a little tighter back here than it was, because before I did a dry fit and it slipped through the, like, nothing to it. So, I mean, I could see a little gap, but it's very, very small. So we're just going to take this and open it up. And, yep, I just see a little bit on there. Okay, guys, so we got that threaded back through there. So now we're going to try, set that on there. So all I'm going to do is use my CA, but I'm just going to put on the end of a Q-tip. Or, not a Q-tip. I always call these Q-tips, and I call Q-tips toothpicks. I don't know what it is. So we'll see how this goes. So I'll set this in here. More so favoring the outside. Okay, here we go. Here we go. So I'm going to put this guy in here first. You know, lock him down there. Maybe I can hold this and move this around so I know it doesn't sit up on me like that. So that's a little tight on there yet, so hopefully we're good. Looking cool, looking cool. I'll just keep moving this a little bit until I know that sets up good. Okay, we're gonna let that sit and hope for the best that it's still free when it completely cures. So last thing we got to do to this is there's a hinge joint they want you to put on here. So this is why I left these on here, because they're right and left. So you got 530 and 531. So according to the picture, it's like this here, 531 goes on this side. So we'll put that guy in quick. So we're just gonna deal with the one for right now. So here's the thing, I'm not 100% if it goes this way or the other way. Okay, so how that hinges, it looks like it goes that way. So if you see how they have the pin is offset, it lines up nice that way. So if you put it in this way, see, it doesn't sit in there right. No. So that's why they give you multiple ones for guys like me that can't hang on to this stuff. So we'll get the old tweezers back out, and then it'll fall out of the tweezers and it'll go flying with this. Okay, we made it. We made it. Okay, so this guy is completely done at this point. Okay, so now we can put the cable, the spool on this, and we can get this wrapped up. So this sits like this, all said and done. And the drum sits on like so. And the other part sits on the edge here. This sits like this. And that's how that sits. And then you have, this sits into the tower, which is this guy here. So all said and done, it'll sit something like that. So we can get this glued in. Before we do that, they want you to run this cable up through the hole here. So I didn't put the beacon on yet because I knew I was going to run the cables, and I didn't want to have it kind of interfering with me trying to get that installed. So we're going to run this up here quick. Like so. So my cable will come unspooled, which is alright. So I might do is I might wrap this a couple times, and then I'm going to just put a little bit of CA on the bottom, just to keep it like that spiraled loop like so. I'm just going to do that, and I'll put some CA in the very bottom of it. Just hold it in place. You won't see the bottom. Just a little bit on the bottom like that. We'll hold that for a minute, let it cure up, and then we'll assemble it. So I got to get the beacon put together. I actually started putting it together, but man, that thing's finicky. Okay, so now that cable stays like that, it looks nice. Looks a lot nicer that way. So now we go ahead and put this drum on here. So we want to make sure that is towards the bottom where I glued that, so as it comes up it should stay tight. Make sure it's pretty square. Looks alright. Now I'm not going to put the other piece on until I get it setting in here, just so I know that it's going to be level. So what I'm going to do is just put this side on first, and then I'll just drop the other side in. And now I can come in and put this piece on. So I'm going to drop it in here first and set it into the spool. So all 4 contacts are sitting in place. Okay, it looks pretty cool. So I'm assuming these should fit here if that lines up right. Not bad, not bad. It's close. It's pretty close. This is the next day. This wrecker box is taking a lot longer than anticipated. So I'm probably going to chop this section of the video up a little bit, just because it's probably going to run long. So we're going to see how it goes here. So we have this part done. This turned out pretty good. So we got this guy here. It hinges nice. It moves up and down without no problems. So it worked out good. It's tight, but that's okay because you can leave it posable that way. So something to take a note of before you guys assemble this. Anyways, this is how I did in mine. This here, you can see I did my cable and I put a little drop of glue in there because I wrapped around the drum. Now that stays, no matter what happens, it still looks like it's wrapped up in there. So that turned out pretty cool. But the one thing I noticed in the instructions looking forward, they have you hook this onto here. Now, I painted this with lacquer and there's not a lot of paint on it, just enough to cover it, but there's a lot of flash on these parts, just a little bit. So what I would recommend, and maybe yours doesn't have this, but you know how Moebius kits are sometimes, before I get too far with this to attach it to the box, I took my drill and I drilled these out a little bit once they were attached to the frame, and then I took a file and I cleaned these up a little bit, so now these will actually hook in here with no problem, because they want you to hook these in here all said and done, but they don't fit. I mean, they're just, the hinges are just too small, or the hooks are too small and the hinges are just too small. So either way, it's just too small all the way around. So I drilled that out a little bit, and then, you know, that's why now it actually sits in there. So just something to look forward to, or look for when you guys are building yours or whatnot. And then I got to do this guy here. So I'm making mine posable. They give you two different ones. So this one here is the other frame. You get the A-frame, and this is the part that's basically fixed, so it doesn't move. So what we're doing on ours, they give you these little pins, and basically these pins are these. So we have to put those together on here, but to make it to where it stays posable, you can't glue the pins here, so you got to be careful putting them together. So hopefully this works out for me. Yeah, so once again we're going to do our glue trick with the Q-tip. There I go with the Q-tip again. With the wow, with this guy, the toothpick. Yeah, there's issues there. Not sure what it is. Probably should get some testing done. Maybe it's the paint fumes. I don't know. I can't smell, so I don't know if I'm smelling paint fumes or not. So anyways, we're going to put these on. They have you walk them together and just like say not glue the pin. So it's going to sit like that. Yeah, that's going to be tight. So what would help is once you put that on the bumper, you can put a little bit of glue on both sides. That way it'll help hold it into the bumper better. So I think that'd be a good, those little dabbles do you. We'll stick that guy in there for a minute until we get ready for it. Makes a nice little stand for you. Just a little bit of glue on the end of here. Is that enough? Probably not. We'll stick the other side in, hopefully. Okay, we'll let that sit for a minute, and we'll move on to the next one. Okay, we'll let that dry for a little bit. Okay, that looks pretty good. So I took the decals off and I added different decals. These are a little newer decals. So this has to go in and get washed yet, and this is ready for clear coat. I didn't want to doctor it up like a drag car, you know. I just figured a couple with the shop that, you know, they have this few products they sell just for like an advertisement thing. Now at this point they tell you can attach that to the rear frame of the bumper, or it says to the rear decking, which obviously at this point I'm supposed to have all this together, but I'm still having some issues with the sides. I had to redo some paint work on it. So they have you put this on like so. That's going to fit in here, so it should work pretty good. That makes that nice and posable. So other than that, guys, the wrecker part's pretty much done. Like I say, it's taken me a little longer than anticipated. Mostly my fault because of paint work. Some stuff kind of changed plans along the way, and then the box side, I was adding decals to it, and foolish me, I should have known better not to use older decals. So I'd like to clear coat these. So at this point, guys, I'm probably going to wrap this video up. Like I say, it's probably getting a little longer than I'd like to see. So I still have to paint the bottom of this yet. I got to do that and go from there. But other than that, most of this is ready to assemble. We'll probably have this completed next video. And I'm hoping on next video we'll get the wheels done. I'm still stripping the chrome on them. I'm using purple power, and they're still part way. I'm not quite, but they're part way there. So another day probably should be done. Then we get them painted, put together, and get that part finalized. Yeah, so it's pretty interesting build so far. So far it's been a pretty nice build. It's a lot of paint work if you want to detail it out separate. It's not too bad. But I like those individual looking pieces, so that's just me. Versus we could have just put it all together and painted it one time and call it a day. But I like the looks of it this way. I appreciate checking out the video. Go check out 1 and 2 on the start of this, and we will see you guys on the next series. You guys have a good one, and thanks for watching.